and welcome to the Knit Girls. This is episode 592. I'm Laura, also known as Lala.
I am Leslie, also known as You Don't Call Me Les. Today is the 18th of October, 2022. Laura and I both use the she, her pronouns.
We do.
And Laura's on a schedule.
It's been an interesting week.
Yeah.
So when we last chatted, we were off to go to some shenanigans with a bunch of friends, and that happened, and it was lovely. I posted pictures on Instagram of us going to the Woolery, which was a super fun spinning and weaving primarily based store, although lots of needle felting, lots of other
needle
stuff. Yeah, like a variety of yarn and fiber crafts, more so than I would typically see in a yarn shop. And so, but they had like all the looms. And so we went there on Friday. And then Saturday we went apple picking. We played a lot of board games and we had a good time. And it was just a good time had by all.
Yeah.
And then we got back and I worked a day and then promptly caught some kind of crud bug that gave me 103-degree fever for 48 hours. And then it was gone. And, but it just like, I didn't want to get Leslie sick. I wanted to test multiple days to make sure it wasn't COVID. It was not COVID, obviously. So we kind of got shifted a little bit on our schedule. And we don't typically record on Tuesdays, which is today, because I do an SSK Zoom with the SSK folks from 6 until 8 p.m. So, on a schedule, but we built in like 45 minutes, an hour for this.
I mean, it's been 2 weeks, so I think I have a lot to talk about.
We do have a lot to talk about, and if I have to get on Discord, because we use Discord for our interactions with people for the most part, and tell them I'm running a little bit late, they're super cool folks, and they'll understand. So, yeah, speaking of knitting, I only have one thing on the needles that I'm actively working on.
So do I.
But I have another thing that I can show that I worked on while we were on our trip. Do you want to go first, or shall I?
Go ahead.
Okay. So I cast on a new pair of socks. These are on size 1 needles, and they are just teeny tiny. This is String Theory Colorworks. It is her Orbit base, which is her sport weight base, in the Stellar Nursery color. So it's going to go between orange and black and gray, and these are my main thing for my Halloween Craft All the Things project this year, which we have going on Discord. So that is the first thing that I'm working on. I need to switch it over to a Halloween bag because I got a very cool Halloween bag from Amy Beth of Fat Squirrel Fibers. The other thing I left at home, so you will not see it. But I did do some work on the coin flip hat. I've got the whole first side done, and I need to put that on holders and then cast on the second side. So it looks basically the same. I just did like an hour's worth of work on it. So yeah, I'm terrible and left something at home. It happens.
I mean, a couple weeks ago I left something downstairs and wasn't willing to go get it, so.
Leslie and I live around 15 minutes apart. It's like, what, 6 miles? But it takes around 15 minutes with all the traffic lights and such. So, it's not a big deal, but it's annoying when I forget things.
I mean,
it happens, though. Yeah. We're all human.
I am knitting on a couple things. One thing I worked on a little bit while we were out of town, which was Shawl That Jazz. I think I maybe put 4 I have 3 things. Shoot, I forgot about that. It's a good thing I put everything in one bag. Like I have,
look at you!
I have like 6 things in my Amy Beth.
I love that bag.
I do too. It's like really disapproving Victorian birds. Which makes no sense, and I don't care. So I put in, I don't know, an hour or two's work on Shawl That Jazz, which apparently is no longer available.
Oh no!
I didn't know that.
Huh.
So, sorry, I have nothing to do with how...
Availability of patterns.
And I can't provide it to anybody because it's not my intellectual property. So, I bought it, I don't know, 10 years ago because I've knit it several times. But, yeah, I mean, it's just a giant like crescent shaped shawl and garter stitch on size 10 needles with worsted weight yarn. So
Yeah.
it's going to take ages.
It's going to be super cozy. And we finally got a cold snap. It is in the 50s today high. And tonight it's getting down into the upper 20s, lower 30s. So it is cool.
Yeah, for a couple days, and then it's going to get hot.
Then it goes back up to 80. But for right now, it's cool.
The thing I forgot about is a Sweet Shop hat. So the sweater, I was knitting the Sweet Shop sweater, and these are both patterns by Tin Can Knits. These and everything else we talk about will be linked in our show notes, which are on our website, TheKnitGirlls with 3Ls.com. So this is a hat to go with the sweater. I'm going to knit a hat. I already knit a baby hat, but I'm going to knit one for both the adults as well, so they can sort of coordinate. They're not all matchy-matchy, but they use the same colors.
Yeah, that's a baby hat size, though, right?
No, this is adult. It's just scrunched on one tiny needle.
It is very small looking.
It's 100-something stitches. Okay. So.
And it's in ribbing right now, so it'll looks
shrink,
tiny.
Yeah. But I've got it on, these are those Haya needles I talked about a month ago that I really, really like, that are, Chaogu, not Haya, I'm sorry. These little tiny needles this is the whole set in this tiny bag. So this one is the adult small, and I'm going to do an adult large as well. And then the other thing, what I'm actively working on right now, is a pair of socks out of Geektastic fiber. I don't remember. I think it's Misfit Toys.
Island of Misfit Toys. It's a Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer reference.
So it's a superwash merino nylon blend from Geektastic Fibers. And it's striping, of course. And this is the first one. It was going to be for me until I actually counted after the heel and realized that there's not enough stitches for it to fit me. I have a wide foot. But luckily I know a lot of people with different sized feet. So these will go to Mama Linneman for Christmas, which means I need to knit Wheezy some socks too. So I finished the first one last night at the...
May I recommend a sock machine to you?
HOA meeting, yeah. So I just did a heel flap and round heel, and I cast on the second one last night, and working on it now. So, yep, that's what I'm working on.
I have loads of finished objects.
Me too.
I got 3.
I've got 1, 2, 3, and then 2 sewing objects.
Look at you. All right. Well, I have some finished. No, I have some finished spinning objects too.
Oh.
But one thing that I did forget to talk about is I have a finished swatch, which does not count towards my finished project.
It's very pretty though.
But it is. I started swatching for the VBAC TDK by Jamie Hoffman. I'm using some Volmisa We're Different, 3 different colors that someone gifted me very kindly gifted me at SSK.
Yes.
So I want to try to use, that's one of my new intents, is to, when people gift us stuff, to try to use it so that they can see how much we enjoy it. So that swatch just needs,
gauge?
I have no idea.
Oh, okay.
I need to measure. Another thing that I finished is the baby sorrel.
Very cute.
Yep.
Do you like it enough to knit a grown-up one?
I do. So I am going to knit the spring one first, which is just the fingering weight, short sleeve one. And then if I still like it, I'll do the mohair fingering weight, because the dip stitches are a little bit more complicated when you add in the mohair.
Yeah.
So we'll see. This is Jude of Stranded Dye Works. His yarn in Plant Parents. It's the merino cotton, and I really want a sweater's lot of this. I already told him that.
So
yeah.
Question: I know that you turn it inside out to work from like the arms after the dip stitches essentially down. But did you do the purling here? Like this is done on the right side. This work.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. So this was done. This was the right side. Then I flipped it inside out, slipped a stitch, and knit the rest. The sleeves were purled because you have to pick them up purl-wise, which I'm not certain I did the best of jobs with, but it is a baby sweater.
It looks consistent to me.
And babies, you typically don't inspect their armpits. So So
They would if they could reach them. But
it'll be okay. So I'm really happy. That's the
it's by Wool
Sorrel
and Pine, right?
Mini by Wool and Pine, and this is the smallest size. And the only modification I made was to flip it inside out. So yeah.
So I would really like to knit that because I like the way it looks, but my purl gauge is so different from my knit gauge that I always just knit backwards. But with that,
well, you would just have to purl the whole thing.
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
Maybe we could do a trade.
Yeah, that's far more likely.
Other things that I finished, I was looking for my coin flip hat, which I have since lost again. And I actually put a call out on Instagram for someone to help me remember what bag it was in, and someone helped me. I found it in a tote bag, so it wasn't even in a bag.
So
but when I was looking,
her options were: one, look in every single.
I did.
No, every single kind of bag, not just project bags.
Well, I
right?
looked in all the project bags.
But two, go back and watch the episode herself. To figure out where.
But people would remember, and they did. They helped.
Or three, ask the class.
I asked the class. I crowdsourced so much information
I can't.
on Instagram because, like, Pearl stopped taking her pills and peanut butter sandwiches, so I had to come up with a solution. So I asked there. There are lots of good solutions there. Pearl has to take 6 antibiotics a day for the next 6 weeks. She's got something that's totally curable, but she has to take all the antibiotics, and it is very stressful. But it'll be fun. Anyway, so I found these Into the World socks that all they needed was a single toe and 2 heels, and I took them with us on our trip, and I finished them, and all the ends are woven in, they're just not clipped. So I have a new pair of Afterthought heel socks. These were cranked on our sock machine, which is a Speedster.
Erlbecker Gearhart Speedster.
And, yeah, so I just unravel my tube, then reknit the ribbing, unravel the tube down here, reknit the toe, and then insert a heel. And now I have socks.
Now you have
Yay.
socks.
I have so many pairs of blue socks, though. I need to, I was going through my sock stash. I need to try to get some reds because I bought a new pair of red pants.
And you're not allowed to possess red. Red is my color.
Is it? So I need to. But I also found a Halloween tube from Teeny Button that I want to knit next. So I might put those on the needles. So yeah, so old they're in a Christmas bag. But those are done. And then my other Halloween socks, which are really a cat colorway, but I think they look super Halloween-y. These were knit on size 1 needles. Oh, the sock tubes I knit on size 0s. I'm actually going to start going down to double 0s, I think, to match. Gauge a little bit better. But these I can knit on 1s because these were a sport weight sock yarn from Rockin' String in the Meow colorway. And I think they're very Halloween.
Yeah.
But they're supposed to be different cats. And I got this at SSK many, many years ago.
Yeah. I want to say like 2018, maybe 17?
18 or 19.
Yeah.
I think she's only been twice. Maybe 3 times. But yeah. So these are ready to wear as well. These I did not weave in the ends on, so I will have to do that. I actually have a pile of socks I need to weave in the ends, and I might work on that tonight on the SSK Zoom. So that is everything that I finished this week.
So
when it comes to knitting,
you have to go at this point down to double 0s to match the gauge of the sock machine.
That is correct.
I do not. Size 1 for me. This isn't like a brag. This is a prelude to a bargain. You can crank some socks that you want. I mean, once we get Jude out here and he fixes the sock machine, because neither of us care enough to do it. To learn how to do it, and then I can put heels and toes and stuff in for you, and you can knit me a sweater. Like 8 pairs or something. I don't know. I mean, this would probably be an easier sell if you didn't have, like,
I think this would
5
be
dozen pairs.
Yeah, I
of
think this would
socks.
be an easier sell if you were doing sewing
Yeah,
in
that's probably true.
exchange.
It'd be a
Since I
lot
don't
faster for
sew,
me too.
yeah.
Um,
Your barter has been rejected.
Yes, try again.
Speaking of Jude,
You have died of dysentery.
we were really sad to hear about the passing of the stranded elf.
Yep.
Jude's mom passed away on Saturday morning.
This weekend, yeah,
this past weekend. And we were really sad and express our condolences to Jude and his whole family and everyone who watches Jude's podcast and
supports him from afar.
Yep, absolutely. Jude's a wonderful human being and we adore his face. So he's going through a tough time right now. Anyway, I like to follow your dysentery joke with death talk.
I know. I noticed. And now we're going to bring it back manually. So I've got some finished things. I finished the Snow Globe hat, which is a Tin Can Knits from their new Lazy Sunday collection.
You are all about the Tin Can Knits right now.
It's a great duo of pattern writers. They do great stuff.
They do.
Very clear instructions, and the size ranging is amazing. So this is a cabled hat.
Who is mowing their lawn?
I don't know.
It is like so cold.
I don't know. I was about to say something really irritating about.
It's really pretty. I like your cables.
Yeah, I do too. This round yarn. This is Volmiza DK, and it's like 8-ply or something. So it's very round, and that's good for cables. It makes them pop. So, yeah, I don't know who this will be for. I don't need any more hats, so it'll go to somebody.
Yeah.
That's probably wasn't the smartest idea because I have a needle in my hair to hold it back. Because I just got out of the shower because I found out. So we adopted Carly the dog about
she's a puppy
6 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been trying to work with the lady at the shelter. She runs it by herself, right? So I'm giving her lots of allowances because I couldn't do it, right? But
it's a lot to keep track of. It's
been very difficult to get her records, like shot records and stuff. And finally, yesterday, she was able to confirm for me that Carly had no shots. She'd been spayed, but no shots.
I'm glad she's spayed.
So, I remedied that today by taking her to the vet. Carly expressed her fear and displeasure by expelling her anal glands everywhere.
And Leslie was directly behind her.
I was trying to, reassure her and hold on and all that. And, yeah, so I had to take a shower right before Laura got here. But she's fine. They tested her for all that stuff, everything.
All the things.
All the things. And she's fine, so...
that's good.
I'm grateful for that, at least. I wish it hadn't been at the expense of the clothes I was wearing, but it is what it is. So I finished that hat, and then I finished the Sweet Shop cardigan, or pullover. It could be either. So I made it a pullover.
Super cute.
I think it called for 1x1 ribbing. No, that was the hat. So yeah, I used 4 colors. It came out super cute, very easy.
Have you blocked it yet?
No. That's why it looks kind of wonky. I haven't blocked it yet. I used, these are just stuff from the stash. I couldn't tell you what any of them are. And then this is like a Debbie Bliss Cashmerino or something. I'll try to remember to put it in the show notes with the rest of the stuff. So this is the first of 4 items that are going. And this is the second.
Aww.
So it's not exactly, I didn't do the chart exactly to pattern. I just sort of decided what I wanted to do. It called for 1x1 ribbing, and I just decided that was nonsense. And did 2x2 ribbing.
As you do.
And so this was the baby hat, and then I showed you the first adult hat is on the needle. So those are my 3 knitting finished objects for this time period. Oh, I do have a couple other things. So while we were at the cabin, everybody brought different stuff to work on, different crafts. And one of the things that, like, and Malia, who is just brilliant.
So brilliant.
And I'm so sad she doesn't podcast anymore because the stuff she put out was very different than what other people did, than what we do. I mean, she's brilliant. And we're not.
She does all the types of crafts too.
Yes.
Anything to do with fiber.
She
is amazing.
Was teaching how to make
cordage.
Cordage, that's the word I couldn't think of. Out of like cattails or, you know, any sort of long
foraged.
Yeah, foraged
flax type
foliage
plant,
type things, yeah. Which I thought was really interesting, but I was not willing to get into because it can be rough on your hands.
She was also doing nail binding.
Yeah, she was doing nail binding, which is NAAL binding, which is sort of like some weird cross of knitting and sewing. And
we use a single needle.
You use, yeah, like a single threaded needle. And you do it in small strip, like, I don't know, a yard of yarn at a time. But you're creating this really cool herringbone texture. I don't know a lot about it. But one of the things that she brought was this hexagonal pin loom.
It's a turtle.
Yeah, and it's called the Turtle Loom. I assume that's the company. And it comes in different, like, sets, different, it's meant for different weights of yarn. The one I got was for fingering or sport, which was the one that she had. So I
been weaving.
I had never done a hexagonal pin loom. I've done the zoom looms before. This I found a little more interesting because you sort of change what you do halfway through because of the hexagon. It's got 6 sides. So I used somebody's yarn. I don't even know whose this was.
That is another crafty girl.
Oh, okay.
And Fisticats.
Okay.
That was Malia's yarn.
And then this was from Laura's
Meow.
And this was a sport weight, and it's a little thicker, so it's a little, like, beefier. But I like it. I like how the variegation comes through as, like, these weird sort of plaid.
Yeah, so this was a self-striping.
Mm-hmm.
And that was,
and this was
a
just
variegated
yeah.
by another crafty girl. Yeah.
And then since I got home, I've done one in Lala dyed yarn.
Oh, gosh.
It was one of the scraps that I found.
Yeah.
And this is from, I don't know, 10, 12 years ago.
Yeah.
It's been a long time.
It's pre-podcast was when I was dyeing yarn.
And I want to say it was like Clouds or Into the Clouds or something like that. I can't remember the color. And then this is Gamut.
Another crafty girl colorway.
Yes. But look at the cool, like, plaid effect. I really like that.
I love that with Punky's yarns.
So I'm not committing to doing any specific number, but I do like the idea of just, you know, how some people, when the Hexie Puffs were huge,
yeah,
you know, they would knit, I don't know, a dozen a week or something. I might commit to one a week.
There you go.
They take about 20 to 30 minutes depending on if you're doing anything else.
It could be your good break from work projects.
Yeah. But yeah, so I finished 4 tiny little Hexies, and they're very cute. And I'll link the company in the show notes. You can get it from the Woolery, but they were out of stock, so I just messaged the lady on Etsy and was like, hey, I got to play with one of these, and I'd love one when you come back. And she's like, oh, I'll just put one up for you. So
I'm back.
Yep. So you never know. It's always worth reaching out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I got some watercolor, but you got spinning, right?
I do. So I did quite a bit of spinning.
Yes.
When we were at the cabin, I took my Daedalus Starling, and I had already finished this one, and I finished this one. You can tell when I talk, I don't move my hook very well.
So that was the other long braid?
So, yep, this is Inglenook's Forest Ride Gradient. So the singles are done. It is, I think, 11 or 12 ounces total. So they need to be plied together.
Do you want to borrow the Blackbird?
Nope, I do not. I'm going to do it on my,
if
maybe
you want
I
it
should.
all one skein, the Blackbird's the only one I know of that's big enough.
Well, I could buy a magpie from them. But, yeah, I might borrow it. Now that you say that, I might. Because I was thinking about putting it on my Hanson with the woolly winder, but that only holds around 11 ounces.
Yeah, that would be pushing it.
Yep.
And you know, when you overwork
it shuts itself
yeah.
off. Yep.
These are the old ones. I've no idea about how their newer ones work.
So then I bought a sampler pack from Inglenook. This is one of the butterfly sampler packs.
You had this already, though, right? Like, you said then I bought.
Well, I mean, I had it in my stash from around a month ago.
Yeah.
It's newish. Like, these are still up in the sampler packs aren't up in their shop anymore, but the fiber is still up in their shop. So it came as 1 ounce
Little batlets.
of its top.
Oh.
And they are all bamboo. Hold on, I'll read out the...
So are these, they made their own, they dizzed their own top, or?
No, they have a mill that they work with,
okay.
and then what they do is they sell all the braids when they get like a new blend in. So the mill blends it. It's mill blend top. Then they make sampler packs out of some of it, and then sell. Like if I wanted to get 10 ounces of one of these colors, I could. So this one is Mother of Pearl. And I haven't labeled them because I don't know yardage. Because I had a Lazy Kate, but I didn't give them a bath there. I gave them a bath at home. So these have had their bath. This one is Luna. The Luna Moth. It's got that green. This one is Roseate Emperor. And then this one is my problem child. So, you're sitting around, you're doing stuff, and I spun the singles of these the wrong direction. And then when I applied them, I also decided to apply them the wrong direction. So then I had to hand butterfly it off and reply, and it was intense. But this is the Polyphemus. And then I still have Peacock and Emperor of India to do in this. They are 40% merino, 25% mulberry silk, 15% sari silk, 10% tweed blend, and 10% bamboo. I found that spinning them end to end was not working. So for me, so I spun them from the folds. And what I mean when I say spun them from the folds is, let me undo one. So this is top. All the fibers are going the same direction. See how they're all lined up like well-behaved kindergarten children.
Those exist.
Holding hands. Sometimes. What I do when I spin from the fold is I break off a chunk, and I might even divide that chunk into a smaller chunk, and then I put that over my finger and spin right there off the point. That's how I typically spin from the fold. So it actually kind of created self-striping with these because it grabbed like it keeps the colors kind of separate. Whereas if I just spun end to end, all these would get twisted together and chunked together. So end to end was not working for me. It worked much better when I spun it from the fold. It is a very slippy fiber because of that bamboo silk content. Bamboo silk content. And merino's kind of a slippy fiber as well. So that was the best way for me to do it. So I have 6 ounces in this bag, and they actually did a total of 11 different colors. So this is the second set that I have to spin.
I didn't know that set existed.
Yeah. So,
I like that one.
I'm interested to see. I thought I'd get the sampler packs just to give it a try and see if I liked the fiber. Would I spin a sweaters out of this? Probably not, because it's super drapey. It'd be better for a shawl, and I'll probably just knit like a, I don't know, like that Stephen West where it does the big swoop type shawl.
Dotted rays.
Yeah, or something out of them. I mean, I'll have 11 ounces, which is great. It should be, each of these should be around, I would say, 75 yards. So I'll have her in 800 yards. So it'll be a decent sized shawl. And it'll just go end to end. And they all pretty much go together pretty well. And if I want more of one color, I can always pick up some more. Inglenook tends to sell their hand blended, not hand blended, but their mill blended fiber like this in 2-ounce segments. So it would be easy to get more. And that is it for me for spinning. I got 4 ounces done though. And then, you know, some singles done that I still need to apply. So I'm quite happy with that. But you sewed a bunch of stuff. I remember because I wanted to steal it. One of them, at least.
I sewed a couple of things. So a few of us that go to this little crafting thing sew. It was me and Jessie and Kenna this year. Although to be fair, I think Kenna mostly cursed at her sewing machine.
Oh no.
But it was a new to her machine, so
Yeah.
she was still learning it.
Last year, Becca sewed, and so did Amy Beth and some other people.
Yeah, and I think Amy Beth brought something to sew, but she just never had the urge. She was doing a lot of spinning, and it looked really lovely.
Yeah, she was spinning on her ladybug.
But yeah, so I had already cut the fabric for both of these. They're the same thing. I gotta put all this crap back in my bag. But they're the same pattern. It's called Petty AF. It's by Rad Patterns. And it's 4 pieces plus the bands. So it's just a sweatshirt, but it's like an off-shoulder reminiscent of the
cute.
90s, late 80s sweatshirt. So this is a jersey that I got from...
I like that one.
this is a terry cloth. Jersey terry. Yeah, with just like little dog faces on it.
Yep.
And
Super
it's just
cute.
a big comfy sweatshirt. And then I had this fabric that was supposed to be for something else, but it wasn't going to work for it. So this is a really light, this is more like a summer sweatshirt because it's very like transparent, translucent. But it's the same pattern. It's just a knit fabric and made almost entirely on the serger. I did some top stitching, but almost entirely made on the serger. Like I said, it's 4 pieces, and then the bands, which you just cut out of rectangles to their measurements. So
Are you gonna make some more?
I don't know, maybe. It's very easy, very
fast. Still use up some of your knit stash.
So yeah, I've got to finish Teresa's and Jill's
Aprons.
tunics. Yeah. What else? Oh, I got some watercolor. You'll have to tell me what the last thing that you saw was. You saw the mushroom.
Yep. Nope.
Okay. So, I think I got caught up on like 15 days because we were gone for a while and I was behind by the time we were gone. So, when I got back, I tried to catch up. So, there's like a little fish. This is a protea flower. That's supposed to be a chocolate plant. I don't think that's what it came out as. And then a compass rose.
That's pretty.
And
I like the shading on your compass.
a fennel.
It's a lot of like plants.
And just a random abstract pattern. This is from a Skillshare class that's linked in the show notes. We're not affiliates or anything. It's just something Shannon and I decided to do. This is a gazebo, which is off-center. Drives me a little nuts. And then just a random moon and star. I'm not picking these. These are prompts. And then thyme and a chili pepper.
I like your time.
And a French balcony and coral. The coral looks more like nerve endings, but that's okay.
Yeah.
I am sucking out loud, and that's okay with me.
It's fine.
And then
We all suck when we learn new things.
watermelon and a Chinese lantern. and then a parrot whose colors I screwed up, and an ice cream cone.
Aww.
So I am halfway through at this point, 52 out of 100. Random little prompts. They take about 5 minutes. Oh, and I did some little, so a friend of mine sent me this super cute little pig needle minder, and I thought, well, I'll paint her something, not because like anything that I created is amazing and you should frame it, but just like as a funny.
I have some blank cards that you could paint on if you want. Like some craft cards.
Craft cards?
Like that, like
greeting cards?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I see what you're saying.
I got them to stamp on.
Oh.
Which I need to get back into.
You should, because you really enjoyed that.
I did really enjoy that.
So, these are different random YouTube tutorials that I found. So I made some chickens and some sheep. The middle one looks so confused.
I love it.
So these are just some random little Shetland sheep. And then this poor ram who
is coming for your soul at night.
It's important to show things when you're very bad at them. So
I love it.
This
so
horn
hardcore,
over
though.
here went in a really weird direction.
I love it so much.
I don't know what happened there.
It's amazing. She's gonna love that.
And then a pig.
I like your pig a lot.
I really am happy. When it was still wet, I was like, screw this, I'm never painting again.
Aww.
And then it dried, and I was like, oh, that's so cute.
That's super cute.
So,
and I really like your, I like the sheep a lot, too.
Yeah, the sheep were really cute. The sheep were much faster. Like, this was a half hour, because there's so many layers in it.
Yeah.
And the sheep were much faster, so, but yeah, 3 out of 4 ain't bad. The fourth one, they can, like, burn as a sacrificial offering or something.
No, I think that is the frameable one. Leslie and I, for our Patreons this month, are going to do a fail along, and it is going to be a watercolor fail along, but we're going to do jack-o'-lanterns using a technique that we found on TikTok.
It's like a layered 3D sort of effect.
Yeah.
Laura found this amazing
artist,
and she's gorgeous, and I don't immediately resent her for being gorgeous, because she's so goofy and like everything's
just
approachable
so
and doable.
Yes.
I might ask you to send me the link and try to put it in the show notes.
Yeah.
Because I was like, if anything's going to make me join TikTok, it's this lady.
Oh, I like TikTok.
So, I'm sure TikTok's lovely. I just don't need a time suck in my life.
No.
So,
I understand that.
Yeah. As far as reading, I'm rereading the Dragonkin book. I'm on my favorite one right now, which is the Dagmar.
Yes.
And Gwenvale.
Oh, I just woke up Buffy.
I'm about almost done with that. She just got sent to the Minotaurs.
Wow.
And I'm listening to A Heart of Blood and Ashes, which was recommended by Malia.
Yes, I have that to read.
It's male-female romance, sort of barbarian fantasy.
It's another author's pen name, and I'm trying to remember who it was. It's someone I like.
It's more sex than I typically read in a book. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just I tend to gravitate to books where the sex is like 5% of it, if that.
This is more of a romance.
Yeah, and this one's more like, it takes a while to get there, but once you're there,
it's a slow burn.
It's a lot of it. So, and I'm also going back and I'm listening to You're Wrong About, which is a podcast with one of the hosts from Maintenance Phase, Michael Hobbs, and he did it with Sarah Marshall for years. Now she's doing it, I think, alone, but with guests. And at first I didn't like it, and I really couldn't figure out why, until Becca, who was at the event this weekend, or that weekend, and was like, I didn't know if I liked her at first, but I had to accept that she wasn't Aubrey of Maintenance Phase. And I was like, you know what, that might be the problem. Like, I'm holding her to an unfair standard. Yeah. Because Aubrey...
We listened to one about...
Angela Lansbury.
No, that was Maintenance Phase.
Oh.
We listened to one about... Was it cults? No. What was the one that we listened to on the way back? That was this new podcast that you're talking about.
Oh, I don't know. I've listened to... I've listened to 10 of them this week. So, let's see.
Obviously, it stuck with me. Oh, it was about when you're kidnapped.
Stockholm Syndrome.
Yes, and where that came from.
Mm-hmm.
So that was interesting because I didn't know a whole lot about what that name
The
came from.
origins, yeah.
The origins of the names.
So I listened to Anita Hill with this week, which was, I learned a ton about the Anita Hill, Clarence Thomas, that I never knew.
On TikTok, they were showing how Designing Women, the TV show. So I'm like at that age where I didn't really watch Designing Women.
Yeah.
It was a little bit older than this, but they talk about that and Donald Trump on Designing Women.
Oh.
And I was like, whoa.
I've listened to them talk about Monica Lewinsky, the Clinton impeachment, the Jonestown massacre. I learned a lot on that one.
That sounds interesting.
The concept of snuff films.
Oof.
Exxon Valdez oil spill. Learned a ton about that.
That was early 90s, right?
Yeah. I got halfway through the one where they were talking about The Godfather, and I was like, I just don't care about The Godfather. Yeah. So.
But there's weird things that happen with that film, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then I just finished Kurt Cobain and the concept of copycat suicide.
Oh.
So, coming up is like Dare, Columbine, the obesity epidemic, shaken baby syndrome.
Like, so it's more of a serious podcast.
I mean, it talks about serious topics, but the hosts they make sure to keep things on to not let things get too morbid or depressing. So, yeah.
I was so into the Stockholm Syndrome one, I fell asleep in the car on the
She fell asleep on the Angela Lansbury thing, too, and I was like, you love Angela Lansbury.
I do. And then she passed away, too.
Yeah.
Because Leslie and I was awake enough to research if she had gotten an EGOT or not, mm-hmm. But then...
EGOT is just an acronym for Emmy, Grammy, Oscar, Tony.
Yep.
Different awards for different types of performing arts. What about you? What have you been reading?
Nothing, because I've been playing on TikTok. Yeah, not much. Still reading the same Hidden Legacies series, and also still reading Wretched Water Park when I'm at work, which I haven't had time to read at work for a while. So I'm hoping to finish that soon. And kind of get my reading mojo or my reading enthusiasm back. So yeah. Yep, not much. The Halloween Craft All the Things is going on. That is until November 1st. Like we said earlier, you can support us on Patreon, and some of the things we do on Patreon for our patrons is we do a fail-along where Leslie and I fail terribly.
We try something new every month.
Yep.
We try harder some months than others.
Last month was air dry clay, and I failed big time, but also I was in a mood.
Yeah.
But Leslie did better at that.
I did better at that, but there are definitely months where I'm like, this is not for me. But yeah, we fail out loud. We try to make it interesting, and then we also do a monthly virtual knit night.
Yep. And then if you ever watch the show all the way to the end, kudos to you, but you can also see our list of amazing supporters
at the $5 level.
Yep, there. Yep. So Patreon is a great way to support us. Thank you so much to all our Patreons that already support us.
Yes. Or any artist, not just us, right? If you have a favorite singer or poet or like mixed media artist or whatever,
or other podcasters,
they're probably on Patreon.
So or Knitting Magazine.
Yeah.
I support some authors on Patreon because I get exclusive access to short stories and stuff. I support like The Conscious Kid, who does some great work on different reading lists for different times of the year and stuff like that. Yeah, so they just did a great Indigenous reading list for Indigenous Day. So yeah, lots of great work being done on Patreon.
For sure.
And I think that's about it. We have the Halloween Craft All the Things. I already said that. I'm knitting for that. I'm super stoked. Halloween is my favorite. We're finally in cold. If you're curious as to what I'm wearing, this is a shawl by Tiff Nealon that I knit over the summer. And I cannot remember the name of it, but...
I can't either.
If you go back to our July episodes, it's definitely there, or you can go look on Tiff's website because she's an amazing artist. She has a new sweater that one of our patrons was actually knitting. That the one with the lines on it, like it's got texture and striping.
Oh, yeah.
So pretty. That just came out. But yeah, we will check in with you all next week. I hope you're getting your McDonald's Happy Meals so you get the cool pails.
Yeah.
I was gonna buy one tonight, but I was running late.
Yeah. Story about
to give Leslie the meat portions, and I was gonna take the amazing Halloween pail. That brings me back to my childhood.
McDonald's is very good at marketing. I will give them that.
Yep. Anyway, we will talk to y'all in a week,
Yep.
approximately, maybe a little bit less, because we typically try to record Mondays. Right now at this time.
I'm going to cut her off. You guys have a lovely weekend. We'll talk to you again soon.
Bye, y'all.
Bye, y'all.